Good morning, concept students. Today we are going to continue with our Chapter 7 notes. We're going to move on to a second method to solve for a system of equations called substitution. Now, this is the most commonly used method when we have a system of equations, which means two or more equations and two variables. So, let's look at that method. I also have the notes posted for you and a worksheet to practice this very important method to solve a system. All right, so here we go. Okay, so system of equations means we have to have two equations. So let's get two equations. First one. Okay, 2x plus y equals 15. And we have y equals x plus 3. So what does substitution mean? It means get a variable by itself on one side of the equal sign. So that's what I'm going to do. Y is already by itself, so I circle this and I plug it in for y in the other equation. I'm going to replace a variable, so I'm only dealing with one variable at a time. So I have 2x plus, in place of y, x plus 3, and it doesn't hurt to put parentheses around it, but you don't need to every time, equals 15. So now I have an equation we've seen before, one that I just need to combine like terms and solve for x. 2x plus x, 3x. Subtract the 3 equals 12. So 3x equals 12. Divide by 3. X equals 4, but that's not my solution. My solution is an ordered pair, just like it was with graphing. So now I take this x equals 4, go back up to my circled stuff, and plug it in there to solve for y. Y equals 4 plus 3. Y equals 7. So my solution is the ordered pair, and you have to write it this way: 4 for x, 7 for y. That is my solution, an ordered pair. Now, in some cases, you might get no solution or infinitely many, which I'll show you those examples, but this is what we're typically going to get, an ordered pair. All right, let's try another one. Okay, erase all this and go to example number 2. Example 2. X equals 2y, and then 4x plus 4y equals 15. Now, again, we're looking for an x value and a y value, and in order to get that, we have to substitute. So we circle this because x is already by itself. Always circle the stuff on the other side of what variable's by itself. This gets plugged in for x right here. Okay? So 4 in place of x, 2y plus 4y equals 15. We're going to distribute 8y plus 4y equals 15. And we are going to divide, or we're going to combine like terms before we divide. So we're going to get 12y equals 15 and divide by 12. Now, we don't always get perfect numbers. This is a fraction. 15 over 12 will reduce. And when we reduce, we get 5 over 4. Type it in your calculator. Oops, 5 over 4. There you go, 5 over 4. So this is our y value. What do we do with this y value? We plug it in. Now, if you want to write this as a decimal, that's fine. Otherwise, just plug it in. Take this back up here in place of y in the circled stuff. It always goes in the circled stuff. So x equals 2 times 5/4. When we multiply in our calculators, we get 10/4, which you can simplify as well for your x value to get 5/2. Now, that's not the end of it. You have to write it as an ordered pair. Again, you can write it as a decimal. That's okay. But your answer is 5/2 for x, comma, 5/4 for y. It's an ordered pair, an x value and a y value. Now, some of you might say, oh, I don't get it with the fractions. So let's go back to another example without fractions, okay? A lot of times they're not yucky numbers. They're really nice numbers. So let's do those, okay? So here we go. Example number 3. Substitution method. Y equals 3x minus 8. Y equals 4 minus x. Okay. Well, both of these have y by itself. What do I do then? Just pick one to circle. It doesn't matter which one. So let's say circle this. It goes in place of y up here. So 4 minus x equals 3x minus 8. Okay. So what do I do? Now I have those equal to each other because they both equaled y. So I plugged one chunk in for y in the other equation. Get x's to one side and constants to the other. So I'm going to add x. Add x. So 4 equals 4x minus 8. Add 8. Perfect. 12 equals 4x. Divide by 4. X equals 3. Perfect. My x value gets plugged in for my circled stuff all the way up here. So I get y equals 4 minus 3. Y equals 1. So what is my solution? 3, 1. That is my ordered pair. A nice, easy solution. We got it by substituting. We took what we had here, plugged it in there, wrote our equation in terms of one variable, solved for that one variable, plugged it back in to get the other variable. Now, we've seen examples where we got answers, but that's not always the case, like we found with graphing. Sometimes you get no solution or infinitely many. So what does that look like with substitution? Okay, so example 4. X equals 10 plus 5y and 2x minus 10y equals 20. Okay, x is by itself, so we circle this. This goes in place of x. Okay, so we write 2 in place of x. 10 plus 5y minus 10y equals 20. I've written an equation in terms of y. What do I do with this? Distribute. 20 plus 10y minus 10y equals 20. Start simplifying. So now what do? 10y and 10y plus 10y minus 10y cancel. So I'm left with 20 equals 20. Well, that is true. 20 does equal 20. So what do I call that? IMS. Infinitely many solutions. This would be one line. These are the exact same lines, just written differently. Okay, so now we've seen infinitely many, one solution. Let's look at our no solution example. Okay, so here we go. No solution. Example 5. We have 3x plus 15y equals -1. We need to have our second equation. So x equals 4 minus 5y. Okay, so what do? X is by itself. Circle that. All right, so where does that go? In place of x. 3 times 4 minus 5y plus 15y equals -1. Distribute. 12 minus 15y plus 15y equals -1. Okay, what happens when I combine like terms? Gone, gone. 12 equals -1. Is that true? No. 12 does not equal -1, so this is false. So when we get a false answer, this is no solution, which might happen. All right, so now we've seen examples where we have one solution, infinitely many solutions, and no solution. So please work on your worksheet. Show me the work when you're done with that so you get credit, and then you are done. We will have one more lesson, and then we have our final exam review, which I will be posting for you coming up soon, and then you'll have your exam. All right, guys, thanks for hanging in there. Have a great day.